All right, what up, though? Thanks for coming back. Appreciate y'all. As you can see, new location. I'm eating grapes. These are fantastic. Sorry, I have to get it in. You know, our principle number 4, part 2 is about nutrition. So I can't, preach it and not live it, right? Because that's what this is about. So I'm drinking my water and having this at the same time. But I wanted to come to you guys because I was having this discussion with someone the other day, and we were talking about rejection. And it made me think about what's going on in society right now. What I talk about here on Minor Tech, what we discuss about developing using the 5 principles: deep rest, gratitude, deep stillness, being physically active, nutrition, and then personal workflow, right? Those 5 principles. I just talked about transparency of talking about and showing the actual process, not just the culmination of the success, but the journey along the way when you hit a roadblock or seemingly some pitfalls or seemingly bad times that we all have to face, articulating it, speaking on it, talking about it, not so much to say, look at my negativity or look at, I'm not perfect, but to share. So therefore, other sources, other resources come to you and say, hey, I've been there. This is what you may want to do. And you can take that. So therefore, it can help pull you out of that pitfall quicker, or even just get you out so you can move on to the next thing. Right. But I talked about that in the last video, the importance of transparency. So in this one, when I was talking to this person, we were talking about being rejected. Right. That's why I titled it Reject Me Please, because it made me go deeper into thought on the current times, people losing their jobs, government layoffs, government, excuse me, not government layoffs, but people stepping away right now, government shutdown and potentially losing jobs, all that. Top tech companies laying off in mass numbers still, with everybody knowing what is here and what is penetrating the economic market with AI technology and agents and that. So people are getting rejected on all levels. When I was having this discussion with a friend of mine, we were speaking on rejection as far as relationships, right? And then how one handles that rejection. So what was brought to me, let me give you the train of thought as to why I got to this point of the title and why I'm going where I'm going. We had discussed the import or how it felt to be rejected. This particular person I was talking to was a guy who he said to me, we were working out this one gym and I brought up this other gym. I said, why don't we go there and work out? And he was like, I don't want to go there because the girl I was dating, if I don't know what I'll say if I see her there because she works out there. And she rejected me when she said she didn't want to be with me. She rejected me for specific reasons, right? That hurt him. And so he said he avoids that gym based upon he didn't want to run into this young lady, right? And I'm like, that's all the wrong reason as to why you should not go to this gym. I mean, that should be the last, if it is a reason at all, that should be the last reason, definitely not the first reason. And it got us to talking. As I was talking to him, like, how do you let this person still live rent free in your brain? And how is it that what they said to you sparked you so much to where a place you would normally go to, you don't go to anymore because you allow what they said to affect you in a way where you don't move in the direction you need to move in. And I was like, when I told him, I said, rejection, I welcome it. Partly because I'm a salesperson and I've read, sales books and I had to get no's and in selling, I still get no's and selling things. And the more no's I get, I've learned how to turn them into fuel to ignite me to continue going. Cause I know the more no's I get, at some point, a yes is bound to pop up. It's ratios, right? Where I talked about calculated risk in another video. Go check that out. So when I was talking to him, I was like, to me, I say, reject me, please, because my thought is when you reject me, evidently the universe, the powers that be are letting me know I was missing something and I was trying to latch on or attach to something that didn't recognize my value. So by you doing the work for me by saying, hey, you reject me, you are actually setting me free, letting me go to be and do and obtain and connect to the person I need to connect with. We're talking about relationships, right? But like I've always told you guys, there's a fine line between everything and anything that happens in this world, right? Different, but same, right? And so as I was talking to him, it got me thinking about what's going on with people getting laid off, how people go into this depressive state. We start to get negative. We start to, how dare they? You losing something quality, but then we're 2 or 3 or 4 or a year out of work, trying to find a new position, but everything we talk about is negative. We still can't believe that 6 months ago they let us go wrongfully or whatever it may be. And my thought is, that company who let you go or whoever, they have moved on. They ain't thinking nothing about you, but yet they're still living rent free in your brain. They're still dictating your level of energy and vibration months, year, whatever it may be later. Because if you're still talking about a negative way. So in that, you have just been rejected, right? Because you got let go by the company, you got laid off, whatever it may be. And so you've been rejected and you still letting them dictate your energy levels. Reason why I wanted to bring this to you, and I hope you're tracking with me. Reject me, please. If you're a company that lets me go and lays me off. The problem that we are frustrated with when that happens is that we weren't ready, right? The ego, we weren't ready. When she let him go, the reality was he was like, yo, I'm bad. What you mean you don't want me? The ego was hurt. But then he attached the suffering part to the word she said or the thing she told him, why the specificity. And then that hurt him more because he wanted to suffer in that thought, suffering so much because the breakup happened, I guess, for him 4 or 5 months ago or whatever it was. And he's still allowing that to linger, what she said, in his brain and in his energy, so much so he won't even go back to the gym that she works out at in case he runs across her, because he feels like he doesn't know what he wants to say, even though if you ask him, he's not attached to her or doesn't care about her anymore, right? And I'm like, well, if you don't care, why do you care? Right? Right? It's like, if you don't care, why do you care? Because you obviously care. Even if you don't like her, you have put a level of emotion to it that I guarantee you she has moved on. She ain't thinking nothing about you. So if she sees you, she may not even want to talk to you. Even if she does, she's probably not thinking of it to that degree or to that. And even if she is thinking of it to that degree, it doesn't matter. It's over. But we don't know how to let things go. Once we're rejected, we take it so personal. We take it so emotionally personal. And I don't know if it's because of the back traumas that we haven't worked on or the fears that we have. But this is why I'm bringing the discussion topic to you. And this is why I'm bringing it up, because I believe it's all encompassing of the traumas that you haven't worked on in the past. I believe it is about the fear of, recognizing and being mirrored at that time when someone says something to you negative in a relationship and then walks away, or a company lets you go. I wasn't ready to be let go. My money wasn't right. I'm not prepared. I have too many responsibilities economically that are legit. But we allow these things to then put us in a suffer state emotionally and mentally. And when we're now suffering, it prolongs the recovery and almost limits the ability to recover the appropriate way to move forward, if you're tracking with me. The reason why I learned in sales to say, reject me, please, is because, again, it became, my father always told me life is math, right? Everything is based off of math. And, that's why we got computing. That's why we have technology. That's why you have coding. Coding is the math. AI is literally a language model built off numbers, not language, right? It's built off numbers, right? So everything is a math game, right? So the more no's I get, if I can detach myself emotionally from the no itself, put it where it needs to be put into a mathematical equation of, I got 10 no's today. I'm looking for a audacious goal to be met. And I know it's a ratio numbers game. I need to probably talk to 10,000 people. So in order to get the one or two or the 5 or 10 numbers that I want consistently, that means I have to go through 9,000, 900 and not, 90 to reach those 10 people, right? I got to go through 9,990 no's. The question becomes, do I have the fortitude and the willpower to sustain that 999 to the 9,990? Or, and also, do I have the faith, which we talked about in the last one, calculated risk, the faith, do I have the faith that by doing that, it will work itself out, right? So what I'm saying is if I position myself mentally and emotionally in a position where, okay, it's the ratio, it's the numbers. And if I do the numbers, calculate it properly, calculate risk taking, go into it right, be willing to stay the course, the process, trust the process. It doesn't matter at 5,600, I'm now feeling a little bit fatigued and emotional, right? So when I get that no, for whatever reason, they said it a certain way though. They said it this way, right? And now I want to say it hurts. And I'm now going to let them live rent free in my brain. And now I'm going to start to suffer for the next 2,000. And I still got another 3,900 to go, right? 4,000 to go to get to my number. What that does is it pulls on my energy for those next 4,000, 3,900, 4,000 I got to go. It pulls on my energy, right? It tugs because I'm now suffering. So the positive energy that I had going up into that 5,600 and I got that weird, specific statement said to me that hit me the wrong way because I'm fatigued, right? Spiritually, emotionally, whatever it might be. It sets me off. Now I can't, now I'm dragging to get to my goal. What I learned to do is, and what I'm learning in this repetition of life is to accept the fact that the ratio is the ratio. My job is to sustain the same amount of energy by not allowing the no's to start to live rent free in my energy space that will drag my levels of enthusiasm, my levels of focus, my level of accomplishment down. I need to stay stoic because when I stay stoic, I now know, because again, I'm going for the long game of the ratio because it's a numbers game. This doesn't matter. And I'm not going to let the no's or the energy that was that I was given live in me to the point to where I now shift my activity, because that's what happens, right? He shifted his activity. He was going to the gym. Now he's not going to that gym because again, he's afraid of running to her. So therefore that pulls his energy, right? And he's now shifting himself, which that's not, he now is going a different, he's diverged his path. Stay on your fucking path. Don't allow for the energy. She's allowed to say no. He's allowed to say no in a relationship. They're allowed to let you go. It's a part of your path. It's a part of the journey. Again, the more that you get told no, and I'm not saying that you want economically to be fired from, 50 jobs. I'm not saying that, but at the same token, if that's your journey and that's what your path requires, then that's what you got to be willing to stay in the game and do the ratio. And then choose and learn better along the way and prepare better. So when I go back to the ego part, right, where I was talking about the ego, that's because you got ego hurt, right? When you get laid off, your ego hurt because why your ego hurt? Because you feel like from the ego thought, I'm lack or I'm lack thereof. I wasn't good enough for her. I didn't look right. I wasn't fit enough, whatever. I wasn't economic, right? Whatever his case, right? With relationship. When it comes down to career, when you get let go, the rejection piece is, again, like I said, I didn't manage my money well. I have responsibilities. And the responsibility part is true, but it's a level of we start to indict the responsibility part as if it was a problem. And it's the responsibilities that are there. But what we do is because we want to be in our emotional state and we want the woe is me, we want, self-pity to happen. We start to blame these things. Again, you got to stay stoic. You got to stay level and keep everything above, keep everything 100, keep it level as to what's going on. Just because you weren't prepared for the firing, just because you feel like, you, in which it may be true, doesn't mean you are a lack of capability. Just because she let you go and didn't want you in a relationship, or he didn't want you in a relationship, doesn't mean that you are lack of capability of doing what you have to do to be better for yourself, not for the next person, but for yourself. They just couldn't receive you. They just weren't the right person for you. That doesn't mean you have lack. You get what I'm saying? Just because you didn't have the certifications or you didn't have another job lined up doesn't mean you're lack. What it means is you have to pivot now into something, and you have to work a little bit harder to gain that new or obtain that new career path or obtain that certification that will lock you into a more secure job. But even at that, you have to understand you're not lacking. You're just at a point in the road where you have to either go over this hurdle, through it, under it, around it, or whatever it may be, but you cannot get stuck saying this is something I can't get through, or I can't grow through, or, be better from it. Right. And so often we stop and we, like I said, get into a self-pity, woe is me, suffering state. How could they? This is messed up. I'm not the one supposed to be here. Fuck all that. Get out of your own ego, get out of your own way. Make sure the words that you're saying, what you're doing, are moving you in a fashion to understand. Please reject me. It's, how they say in relationships, opposites attract, right? It's the opposite thought sometimes that works. Because you're like, well, you're saying the title says reject me, please. And it's like, are you crazy? No, I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to be laid off from my job. I don't want to be rejected by the girl I think I want to marry. You know what I'm saying? Actually, you do. When you are free from the thought of control, or I have, or I own, or it's mine, then you're free to move fluently, and it actually brings about the thing that you desire. Again, it goes back to that old Bruce Lee statement, like, don't force it, relax, flow, be like water, flow. But so it's the opposite. It's the opposite of what you think here. You think I'm supposed to, I got to go get it. I'm supposed to be it. No, the rejection piece is part of, again, the continual evolution and growth of you getting to the ultimate manifestation of the attainment of whatever it is you desire or think you want to bring about within this world as, tactile human beings. And this is one thing I accept, and I talked about it in the transparency video, that the company that staffing firm I have, it's at a tough point with our contracts, right? New administration did some things, right? Doesn't mean that we are not okay. Doesn't mean that we can't keep moving forward. Doesn't mean we don't have liquidity. It just means we're at a tough point right now. And either we pivot, and which we have, and now we have to let the pivot take its course to work itself out. Now, my hope is the team has the vision that I see. I hope me as the leader I have been able to deliver the proper communication and energy flow to help them, you know, weather the storm and sustain, the storm. But if they haven't, someone has to fall off. If they say I got to leave, I don't take the rejection personally. Reject me, please. It's a part of the process. In this, I did something that I could have did better, possibly. Or in this, I did all I could do, and you still felt like you need to go. Okay, I learned either way. You get what I'm saying? But again, my faith, like I talked about in the last video, my faith is in the outcome that I know I'm going to ultimately achieve, because again, I'm doing the work and I'm aligning myself with the powers that be. And this is why the principles are so important, because again, I talk every morning with my higher self, with my higher powers that are within me, about the trajectory that I have to go down in order to continue evolving well, even through ideations that I have and that I'm trying to work out and trying to build out, that have the proverbial bumps in the road, not coming through with certain contracts, certain people leaving, certain people lying about certain things they're going to do and don't do. That's part of the process. Some people doing above and beyond the means and measure, but it's still not being reciprocated in kind, right? These are all a part of the ebb and flow to make my reality that I have in my brain and in my vision the true reality in the manifested world, right? In the tangible world. But this is the process, guys. So along with it, I've learned to say, reject me, please, because the reality is it's a ratios game. I need more no's The more no's I get, the more rejections I get, that also means that I'm putting myself out there respectfully, and it should be respectfully in both business as well as relationships, not just out there, every girl, hey, you want to talk to me? Not that, not just every, every company. I'm saying like, hey, hire me, hire me, hire me, hire me. And if it's not aligned with the overall purpose of what I'm trying to do, right? But let's just say you're tracking with me and you understand you're talking to, if it's in a relationship situation and you're a young lady, you're talking to the proper guys. You've been on, 4 dates in the past, 8 months, 6 months. And the only reason why it's been 4 dates because you've been calculated, you've been online and you've done the research, you've had good conversation, you've sustained abstinence from sex, but you just try to talk to them and see if they stay consistent. But somewhere along the way, 2 months in, 30 days in, they break habit and you see the red flags, and or they say something to you, that's like, straightforward, like this ain't gonna work, and you feel rejected. Welcome it, because I guarantee you, if your goal is relationship and a long-term relationship and a quality relationship, it's a numbers game with quality numbers and quality calculated risk with the quality guy. He's right around the corner. With the business aspect, with the career aspect, rather, I'm gonna go because it's two different forms. As an employee, trying to work for someone, you got laid off. And then I'll talk about the entrepreneur, which is what I am. When you're an employee, you got laid off. Putting your resume, making sure you're looking for companies that suit your particular current skill set. And there's so many businesses out here that do, so many companies, whether it be, small, mid-size, or large, but you still stay within your sphere of expertise. Or if you have a passion about something, you apply to that sphere of expertise, right? Of niche, rather. And you go at it ad nauseum, because again, you need to get employed, you need to get, paycheck, right? But I wouldn't say, if your skill set is you are a data scientist, to just now say you're going to all of a sudden switch over to cybersecurity or front end, work. I would say that's not necessarily a smart move. I would say, in this day and age, because again, you have to have show, work and know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Whatever coding experience you need and all that stuff. And if you've been in it for a few years, it would just make more sense to go with companies who are looking for your particular skill set. What you may want to do is now leverage the AI tool to help you be able to present yourself better. But again, go at ad nauseum, putting the resume into those particular, dark data skill sets that you already have the expertise in, before you try to switch into something that you don't, you're not great in. Because again, the more no's you get within that, at some point the yeses are coming. The problem is, so often you put out 8, 10 resumes, or inquiries, and then you got 10 no's, and you get disheartened and you stop. Now you're putting out one or two once a week, and now you're just going to take the part-time job, doing Uber Eats. There was nothing wrong with that. But now you get so caught up in that because you got to work to make money, that you're not putting out the resume with the intensity, again, within the dark data sector that you're in. So what I'm saying is, allow the no's to come. It needs to be the repetition, the consistency, the volume of, hey, I can do this. Hey, I can do this in dark data. I can do this in dark data. Are you hiring? Are you hiring? Are you hiring? At some point, the yes is going to come. If you're an entrepreneur like I am, I talked about in the other episodes how many emails I send out. Like I said, it's a little over 2,000 now over the past 9 months. And that doesn't seem like a lot. Somebody has done 10,000. That's great. It's not about somebody. It's about what I'm doing. And again, putting the energy out there. And I can up it, and I am upping it, right? But if you hear me, I'm saying, like, I can up it. Okay, great. If that didn't seem like a lot, I need to do more. In that, I've gotten 2,000 no's because no one has applied yet to say. I've not gotten a few maybes, obviously, in there, but no one has said yes. Again, numbers game. I have to stick with it. I did this in my first business over 20 years ago. My ex-business partner and I, when we were doing wellness, and we were doing corporate wellness consulting, it was about a 2.5 year period. He remembers. We were messaging everybody, going to every city council meeting, going to any, networking event we could. In about 2.5 year period, crickets. We had our main clients, that would keep us afloat, and our smaller clients, we were doing smaller gigs, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't until about that 2.5, 3 year mark, we were able to break through, after sending for almost 2.5 years, 3 years, an email to Hartsfield Jackson National Airport, they finally got back to us and said, hey, we've been meaning to reach out to you guys. We have an opening for something. Come pitch us. We did. We got the business. We had them for over almost 8-9 years before that business ended. But my point is the rejection for 2.5 years. I just heard Kevin Hart speaking on Diary of a CEO. Great podcast. If you haven't watched that, go check that out. But he was talking about, and if you've heard Kevin talk about his story, he's talked about it very openly and very candid. Half his stand-ups have been over the years about his life. But he talked about, again, the specificity of or this specific trajectory he had to go down. And it was about 13 years of him doing stand-up. 13 years of him doing stand-up and not getting anywhere to the level of what we know him to be, now, of course. He was, along those 13 years, obviously honing in, building on his craft, learning from what he's doing, because that's the only way you can do it. But it took him 13 years to really start to now break through that barrier to get to what we know him to be right now as Kevin Hart, Heartbeat Studios and all that stuff, right? Again, it's the ability to have that sustainability and that stick-to-itiveness. But when we say that, because you hear us say, have the stick-to-itiveness, be dedicated, be locked in, all this shit, right? The highlight words, the phrases. But what does that look like when you get rejected? How do you process that when you keep getting no, when you keep getting heckled, when you keep heckled, on stage in his case, and you keep going to these, Steve Harvey was talking about, I think it took him 5 or 6 years living in his car, 5 or 6 years, I think it's something like that, living in his car. He's from the hometown. Shout out Cleveland, Ohio. How do you stay going forward when you keep getting what you feel is a slap in the face or punch in the stomach and getting the wind knocked out of you because you want this thing, you need this thing, economics, I need the money, I got kids, I got a wife who's looking at me, needs something, I got a husband who, I just want to take care of him because he's ill and I love him to death and he can't work like the regular man, right? You have all these factors. You have to be able to separate the emotions and recognize, again, if I said I was going to do this, if I calculated the risk and I have the real faith within me to do the work and stay locked in, turn it around on its head. The more no's I get, it becomes a game after a while. Okay, how bad are you going to reject me, right? And I'm not going into it knowing that or feeling that's what you're going to do, but I am open to letting go of the control that you have to say yes. So when I do that, now I'm putting myself in a state where I'm going into it to get and gain the experience, the knowledge, what it is that I'm looking for to grow and elevate to get to that yes. And the funny thing about it is, even in rejecting it, if we're smart, if we have wisdom, that rejection is the beauty of the reward, because it's like, oh, I put myself in a situation so I could be received or rejected. I was worthy enough to be in this situation for a moment, a time, if it's a job situation, I was worthy enough to be in this situation. So therefore I have something of substance to deliver. It just wasn't enough to sustain from their perspective. Doesn't mean that it makes me bad or worse or not good. So when we flip it, this is how you have to play the mental game with yourself when you get to that 5,600 no, right? And you still know you got 4,000 more no's because if you know the rationale and it's a ratios, the right situation, right? This is how you're able to play the game with yourself, with the psychology, with the energy to sustain the stoic level necessary to persevere, push through, and get to whatever it is you said you want to get to. It's a little different, like I said, different, but same in relationships, because you can't force yourself. My boy, when I started this whole conversation, he can't force himself to the girl and say, you gonna get me. No, but this is the thing, because check it out. If he avoids that gym, right, and that's the only place he saw old girl, and he really thought that they had something, they could be something, right? And he knows he's a quality guy, but maybe she couldn't see it at the time. Check it. If he's not going to that gym, how could he ever run to her again or have her see him from a distance and just feel his energy and just see how he interacts with the other guys or the girls at the gym and get that, oh, I guess he was kind of cute type feeling, right? He can't give that because he's now, like I said, he's allowed himself to be in a position where he's suffering. He's lowered his energy. He's moved he's diverted his path. So how can he ever get a chance to get her if he felt like she was really the one? Right? You see how that kind of works in another way of thinking about it? Whereas if he thought about reject me, please, cool, but you're not going to divert my path and you're not going to live rent free negative in my head. I'm still going to go do what I got to do. I'm still going to go to the gym. I'm going to give you respect for your space because again, you said it's done. So there's nothing for me to do other than just be my great self and continue being the light I need to be. As I'm being that light, what generally happens is if it's meant to be, this is why they say if it's meant to be, it will be. If it's not, it's not. But if it's meant to be, 6 months down the road, she might just broke up with one of her guys, after trying to date him for, 3 or 4 months. And she comes to the gym and she's like, oh, she sees you smiling. You talking to one other little honey dips, right? In the corner. And she's like, oh, shoot, he got something. Like, woman, I was the same guy you dropped 6 months ago, right? But this is how the energy level works when you stay on your path and you don't let someone throw you off or let the negativity or the rejection put you in a state of a lower level of thought and action and reaction. We have to stay true to what is pure and correct. You're not meant for everybody. Understand that. You are meant to grow. The lesson that you need to find, if you're open to it, even in the rejection, reject me, please. Let me learn from this. Not saying you're going into it thinking that you're going to be rejected, but you're going into it open. And if rejection is part of the process, cool. If it's a company that you're working for, you want to, or you feel like you need to have longevity with, and you saw yourself going up the corporate ladder, and they let you go, you're part of that situation right now. Reject me, please. Let me just look at what it was on my exit interview that you gave me or my phone call or Zoom call. Talk to me. Let me hear what it is you thought I did not do. Let me go into it with an open mind. Listen, maybe it might be a way for me to come back later down the road if I feel like this is really the place I want to be. If it's not, I need to take what you said, use it. Also, can you give me a form of recommendation? Because maybe you're letting me go just because there was no other place and you had to have budget cuts, but you thought I was an ex-employee. Can you take that information and give me a recommendation for my next situation? You never know. Do you know anybody that you're a hiring rep or you are the HR rep? Do you know anybody in your cohort of other HR representatives when you go to HR Star conferences, you sit down and talk? Do you know of anybody else that could use my particular services and skills? Because you know me, I appreciate it. I'm not sitting here, cussing you out because you're letting me go, right? But if you're open to the rejection, you go into a glass half full instead of glass half empty, now you're able to position yourself with the proper elevated thought and energy, and you're going to attract that same thing to you in order to help you continue on your North Star to get to your goal and get to where you're trying to go in an appropriate time and fashion, right? An appropriate time and fashion, like I always say before, is relative. It ain't on your time. It's on the higher power's time. But again, you want to stay ready, and staying ready is having the proper energy to be able to receive the proper thought and deliverable that the higher powers give us. They always give us little seeds. They give us little seeds. It's our job to water them and plant it. But when we're in that lower level self state of allowing the rent-free person and negativity energy to stay within our thoughts, oh, I don't want to go to that gym because she might be there. That's the negative energy. Now you're literally putting up a wall that can break, that could open up so many doors for you. If it ain't her, someone else at that gym probably. You know what I'm saying? But now you wondering why you can't date and you can't find someone you want to find. Well, you didn't shut off one of the great places to go to, right? That gym was a great gym to find people, quality people there. You know what I'm saying? And any place is. But you see what I'm saying? When you are in a lower level state of thought and energy, you bring about lower level activity and lower level energy, right? So if you get into the happy peace place, I always say peace because it's not about happy or sad, that peace place, reject me, please. I'll learn from it. I'll grow from it. And because of that, I'll be better for it. If you look at it that way, that's how you become a Kevin Hart after 13 years plus of stand-up comedy. Steve Harvey, 5 years living in this car and being rejected for multiple years. And then all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, it all clicks and you're now ready. You're you're fortified, you're built in a way to where now the seeming success that you're having now, and especially the levels in which most of us want to obtain of the success that we want, they happen to be celebrities in comedy, but you have to be forged. This is why I say you have to be forged in the fire, because when you're forged in the fire, it's a lot of, you know, back when, the guys were, medieval times forged something in fire, right? I forget the name, pardon me right now, but they take, metal rods and it's heat, unbearable heat, right? But and they do it for hours on hours on hours, right? To get it just right, just sharp, just right, angle it. Then they put in the water, let it sit. It's forged in the fire. So when you pull that iron out, and it needs to be used to create the steel or the sword or whatever it might be that needs to be used for battle or whatever it is, when it's forged well and it's given the time and is given the beating and the heat that it needs in order for it to lock into place. What happens now when it gets into that, it's been sitting out in the rain until it need to be used. It's not going to break and crumble. And especially when you need the most to fight off and ward off other people, enemies, right? It's able to do what it needs to do. Because again, new levels, new devils. These successes that we see and we champion and we say, well, that was him or her. They went through this. I can't do that. Well, you're right if you can't do that. But if you want to get to the success, if you want to have the coffee shop that you want to make, you have to go through maybe losing 2 or 3 coffee shops along the way. You may have to go through losing a couple $100,000 because you didn't invest well or you spent it on the wrong equipment. You know what I'm saying? But when you do that and your belief is, I'm going to own a Starbucks, I'm going to own my own version of that, I'm going to build that in multiple countries, the process becomes, okay, I can deal with this. This is just part of it. And I'm going to learn from it. Yeah, it would have been nice to say, okay, well, you shouldn't have done that. But you know what? When people say you shouldn't have done that, I guarantee you, and you mark my words, talk to anybody who's made it. The person who's saying you shouldn't have done that is someone who didn't fucking even do the shit that you're talking about. Nor they even push themselves to do anything that was admirable or worth even trying to get anywhere other than just be level within society. People who are out here doing it, people who are out here trying to push for that, we have nothing to say other than keep fighting. You're doing right. Keep on crying. Keep on wiping away the tears, but keep moving fucking forward. Why? Because we're the ones out here putting in the calculated risk. We're the ones out here saying, reject me, please, multiple times. Even right now in this moment, I'm getting rejected. I put out an email earlier and they didn't say yes, a couple of them. In this moment, I'm getting rejected. It's people who looking at this podcast right now, and they got something to say about my purple shirt. They got something to say about the fact that too much light on me. They got something to say they don't understand what the fuck I'm talking about, or they saying he's talking too much. Reject me, please, because the person that understands you're hearing me and you vibe what I'm saying. You get where I'm going with this. You feel it's deeper than just the facade of you can do it too. Have your affirmations. Have your dream board. All that bullshit that is cool, but it's surface level shit. You have to go through the being rejected, feeling like you didn't do right, feeling like that, but then changing your feeling and understanding that's just a fucking feeling. I choose my feeling. Either I'm going to let you dictate to me and tell me what I am, or I'm going to dictate to me. Either I let the gods and the power, step 3, principle 3, I sit down with the gods, the power that told me I'm meant to have a relationship with a quality person. I'm going to get it. I just got to stay the course. I need to dial it back. Maybe not talk too much. Maybe ask more questions. I gotta tweak it, but I'm not going to let this person who rejected me live rent free and keep me from me feeling like I deserve to get what I want. That's me making that choice to let what they said affect me. If they lay you off, that's you allowing yourself to suffer and say, there's no good jobs out here. I can't find work. The more you talk about that, the more you're bringing that about. The more you say, I can do the jobs, I can find work, and you're doing the menial jobs along the way, that's all part of the process. Don't stay in the fact that you're doing, Uber Eats. It's just for right now, it's temporary. But keep putting in the effort to put out the resumes with your degree, with your, masters that you have. Someone will say yes. If you're not getting the yes, keep on putting it out there and put out to the right people, okay? Don't just be putting it out there to everybody named mama, because everybody named mama ain't meant for you. It's a certain person, it's a certain company that's meant for you, excuse me, right? So keep this in mind. Um, Different but same. Reject me, please. If you got laid off, if you were part of tech companies or a startup that just laid you off because they couldn't afford it, they got over leverage, it's okay. It's okay. Maybe you didn't show up on time and they let you go. Okay, do better. Maybe it was you. If it wasn't you, cool. If it was you, cool. Fucking get back on the horse. Reject me, please. You'll be okay. Invert the feelings. Quit being so sensitive and so hurt. It's a ratios game. It's a numbers game. Play the fucking numbers. Calculated risk taking. Believe in yourself. Have the faith. Work the 5 principles daily. When you work the 5 principles daily, you don't have time to have self-pity. You don't have time to be in yourself. Why? Because you're getting great rest for one. So you're not lethargic. You're not sluggish. You're not ill. You're healthy. When you give gratitude, you're putting the energy in your energy. You're setting your intention for the day to understand you still have a lot of greatness about you. And you thank the powers that be for giving you that. Now it's your job daily to go about that. The third, deep stillness, whatever modality you choose, meditation, prayer, whatever it is you do it, be still, connect and commune with the higher power who can elevate you so you can see what you're not able to see here as a human being. They can see for you and show you the process and the trajectory you need to go down. And I promise you this, it ain't going to be fucking easy. It's not supposed to. We just talked about that, but you have more belief and confidence and enthusiasm to go about it because you know it's not just you. It is destined for you because you're talking to them. You're in communion with them. Step 4, you take care of this vessel by taking physical activity to make sure you're physically strong. You got to have this body functioning at its best to make that thing that you and your higher power talked about come to reality. Make sure you're feeding yourself well in part 2 of step 4, eating the right things, grapes, drinking your water, or I should say fruit, drinking your water, protein, carbs, fat. If you don't know about that, go into the video where I talked about principle number 4. And then if you're working all these 5 on a consistent daily, weekly, monthly basis, all these principles, if you're working on it and your personal workflow, step 5, this is your personal workflow. If you're doing this consistently, you have a stoic approach to any up and any down, you get level. And you allow for, you understand if it's going down at that seemingly moment, it will come back up because you're working the process. How can it stay down when you're talking and convening with the community, with the higher power in you? It can't stay down. And if it's up, you understand, like anything, nothing stays the same. And as it's up and it's good, you want to make sure, again, while you're at that peak, you're prepared for whatever's coming your way, right? It's imperative to understand nothing stays, 100%. We don't stay alive. We're not, immortal. We die, right? So what we want to prepare for is that seemingly descent that will, again, if we do it right, will keep us at a sustained higher level of approach to being able to handle that descent and not let it, again, crush us, put us in a depressive state. We lose so much money or so much time or so much energy or hurt someone because we say the wrong thing, because we're emotionally hurt. We don't do those things to the degree in which we normally do. That's why I love these 5 principles. You work these 5 principles, I guarantee you'll be able to say, reject me, and walk through it in a way where you never thought you could before, because you understand that it's a ratios game and you'll get to what you need to get to because you're going to stay the course. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining me. Go out here, lift well, live well, be great. Check out the other videos I have up too. I have some workout videos up. I think if you haven't seen that, go check that out. I'm an exercise guy that helps fuel me for everything else I do. And I'll be showing you guys too a little bit more of the work process that I do, the mastermind sessions I do with my ladies, the mastermind sessions I do with my team. I'll be showing you some of that along the way as well. So therefore, again, it's a complete encompassing totality of everything that I'm saying, not just doing one thing and expecting everything to come together. It's a amalgamation of all of it coming together at the right time, and that time is relative. My job is to stay ready. So when that time, when the universe and my higher power says it's time, I'm now ready, right? So I want the same for you. But go practice your 5 principles. Look forward to talking to you guys. Be great. Talk to you shortly.